Hello, Fuse Nation. My name is Alex Fuse, the host of Fusion News. Today is January 16th, 2018, and we have another big show for you here tonight. But before we introduce the next guest, are you a subscriber of Fusion News? And if not, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button right now to join the Fuse Nation. And once we hit 600 subscribers, I will be doing a special giveaway. And now, without further ado, my next guest on tonight's show, former Yankee player and current Yes Network broadcaster, Mr. John Flaherty. So, John, how are you doing tonight?
Thanks for having me on your show.
Of course. So, you are a former teammate of the new Yankee manager, Aaron Boone. What was it like playing for Aaron Boone, and how do you feel like Aaron Boone can lead this Yankee team in the 2018 season?
Aaron was traded over to the Yankees at the deadline in '03, and, I was on that team in New York, and I think one of the things I realized right away was how he kind of was able to transition into our clubhouse, and he just seemed like he was there all year, to tell you the truth. Alex just has one of those personalities that connects with people. You feel very comfortable talking to him. He's got a presence about him. So, I've known Aaron, all the years in broadcasting and playing with him, playing against him. And when I heard he was getting the interview, to do a great job in the interview, because he's just one of those people that really carries himself the right way. And, he's going to have some challenges, obviously never managing or coaching before, but I think his greatest strength is going to be in that clubhouse, communicating with the young players. And it's going to be fun for us as broadcasters to kind of pay attention to some of his in-game moves to see how he transitions to being a big league manager.
What happened this offseason was surprising for the Yankees. They got one of the greatest outfielders in the game, Giancarlo Stanton, but they also got rid of the manager that has been there the past 10 seasons, through it all. Saw Derek Jeter retire, saw Mariano Rivera retire, Series champion Joe Girardi, and he was not re-signed back to the Yankees. And of course, like we just mentioned, Aaron Boone is the new manager. What was your reaction when you heard the news that Joe Girardi would not be returning as the Yankee manager?
Well, I was shocked that the organization wasn't going to bring him back, because, to tell you the truth, at the beginning of the year, Alex, I think there was some thought that maybe Joe was a little burnt out. 10 years managing in New York is obviously a lot of work and very stressful. So I thought maybe he would leave on his own terms. And when I found out that the organization wanted to go in a different direction, I was shocked. And, Joe did a great job as a manager. He was great for us to work with. So I wish him nothing but the best. But it was definitely a shocking decision and a transition with a really, really good young team. Young manager, as far as experience is concerned, is an interesting decision.
A lot of people are talking and asking the question, what's next for Joe Girardi? And of course, before he became the Yankee manager, he was a former broadcaster. So maybe, just maybe, in the future, you'll be being joined by Joe Girardi in the booth, right?
Yeah, we were actually talking about that last night. I was with the guys doing the Hot Stove show, and we were talking before the show if anybody had heard what Joe Girardi was going to be doing in the next chapter. And it sounded like really that there was nothing imminent, that he was going to maybe get into broadcasting or another manager's job. And the one thing we all know about Joe, he's a huge family man. So I think this gives him an opportunity kind of to settle down with his family again. But there will be plenty of opportunities for Joe Girardi, whether it's broadcasting or getting back on the field again, or maybe getting in a front office. Whatever he wants to do in this game, he'll obviously have a lot of opportunities and be very successful.
Definitely. The other move that the Yankees made this offseason that's really got the Yankee fan base excited, if they couldn't be already excited, only being one win away from the World Series last year, but they traded for Giancarlo Stanton. Like I said earlier, one of the greatest outfielders in today's game. What was your reaction when you heard that Giancarlo Stanton is going to be playing for the Yankees next season?
Like the Girardi decision, it was shock, and really it just came down to the fact that Stanton had a no-trade clause. He could be very particular about which teams he wanted to go to, and to be quite honest with you, this deal just kind of really fell into the Yankees' lap. And you give the front office and Brian Cashman a lot of credit for kind of pushing forward and getting the deal done. And it's exciting, right? I mean, you have one of the greatest home run hitters from the National League coming over to the Yankees. Obviously, the comparisons and the connection to Aaron Judge in right field, because they're both massive men who hit home runs, is going to be fun for all of us to watch as the year goes on. But we were lucky enough that, yes, we did our Hot Stowe show from the winter meetings, and Stanton came right on set after his press conference, and just an impressive young man. The way he carried himself, he was very sure of himself. That it was cocky or arrogant. It was just a nice confidence about him. Playing under the bright lights in the Bronx is going to be a big transition. He's expected now to go out to win with this team. He's expected to put up big numbers, and it's always fun to see how a player is going to react to that. So we can't get down to Tampa soon enough and kind of get our eyeballs on him in a Yankee uniform, taking batting practice and playing in those spring games.
How do you feel like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton are going to mesh this upcoming season?
Well, you would just think it would be a great combination, the two guys. I think that Stanton is more of a pull hitter, and I think Aaron Judge uses the new Yankee Stadium so much to his benefit, really driving balls the other way. And I'm wondering if maybe Stanton takes that approach a little bit more than he did in Miami. But I think that obviously both being big men, one of the things about when I was a catcher, you would face somebody that big and tall and long arms differently. You try to crowd them inside a little bit more. So I think both of those guys are going to kind of be paying attention to the other ones at bats to figure out how opposing pitchers are trying to attack them. And it just seems like a match made in heaven to watch these two guys together in the same lineup.
You talk about being a catcher in the major leagues, and I talked to you back in 2016 when the first time you were on my show, and we talked about Gary Sanchez, and that was right when he was getting called up, making his major league debut. And I had to ask you this. What do you feel like Gary Sanchez needs to improve behind the plate? Because he didn't have such a great defensive 2017. He had a great offensive 2017, but not exactly a great defensive 2017.
Yeah, you're right, Alex. He took some steps backwards last year behind the plate, and it was shocking, I think, to all of us, because when he came up in the plate, not only blocking, framing, throwing runners out. I mean, this year he was a little erratic. He took some steps back. It was a little slow, blocking baseballs, and all of the pass balls were definitely something that was concerning. So I'm sure it's going to be a priority for him this winter. I'm sure it's a priority for the organization to make sure they get him back on track. Kind of, just making sure you get your work in before games so that you're ready when you get in the game just to react and play. I expect things to get a lot better this year behind the plate for Gary Sanchez.
So the last episode of Hot Stove was last night, unfortunately, and of course, it seems like there's so many free agents left out there on the market, like Yu Darvish. And I mentioned Yu Darvish because I asked Tim Kirchin this question yesterday. Do you feel like Yu Darvish is going to be signed by the New York Yankees this offseason?
You know what? I think if the market comes back on Yu Darvish, and it seems like the market has come back on really all of these free agents, the Yankees will be there, ready to make a bid. I think they're very disciplined, the Yankee organization now. I think they know exactly what price they want to offer Darvish. I know they probably know exactly how many years they want to offer a 31-year-old pitcher. So if the market comes back to both of those parameters, the Yankees will be willing to pounce on that. And it seems like a market that there's going to be some bargains as we get closer here to spring training. You're going to start seeing some players, maybe not Darvish, but some lesser-known players panic a little bit, just wanting to make sure that they have a big league job this upcoming season.
Well, John, before we wrap up this Fusion News interview on YouTube tonight, what are you most excited to see in the 2018 New York Yankee season as a broadcaster?
You know what, Alex, for me, one of the greatest parts of my job is getting down to spring training and being around the club. And, there are some different names and some different personalities now, and every team every year has a different makeup and a different feel to it. Last year, you could tell in spring training that maybe something special was going to happen, how well the young guys were transitioning, how well they were playing, but also the feeling that you got when these guys were doing their work before games. It seemed like there was great team chemistry. So the one thing that I pay attention to early on is everybody getting along. How is Stanton transitioning into this clubhouse? How's he transitioning into New York with all the media attention? And now there are expectations that this team is expected to go to the World Series, possibly win one. So there's a different vibe now that you're being the team that's going to be hunted a little bit more. How are they going to react? So all of those things are going to be what I pay attention to early on, especially the first month of the year.
All right, Mr. Flaherty, before we wrap up and let you go on tonight's episode, where can the Yankee fans and Fuse Nation follow you on Twitter, and where can they go to your website?
Well, Flash17 Yes is my Twitter handle, and I have a website that my son actually runs for me called flashspeaks.com, which, do some public speaking events if anybody's interested in that. But I interact on Twitter a little bit more as baseball season gets closer. So Flash17 Yes is where all the Yankee fans can reach out if they'd like.
Perfect. Thank you again for coming on tonight's episode of Fusion News.
Thank you very much, Alex. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. All right, Fuse Nation, you just heard it from former Yankee player John Flaherty and Yes Network broadcaster. And he just wrapped up the conclusion that the Yankees maybe, just maybe, if the market picks back up, that Yu Darvish will be in pinstripes. We also talked about what it was like playing with Aaron Boone and how Aaron Boone position in the new managerial position next season. Thank you again, Fuse Nation, for watching this episode. Be a subscriber of Fusion News. And also, before we wrap up this interview, go on my Instagram and vote for David Tomasic. He could possibly have his own audition with The Voice. He's a Shelmont student freshman at Shelmont High School, the same high school I go to here in upstate New York. So please go out there and vote for David. All right, Fuse Nation, thanks for watching. Be a subscriber of Fusion News, and I will be seeing you next show. Thanks for watching. Be kind to one another.